This is the Aventon Aventure V1. This is the step 2 model. There's a big difference between the V1 and the V2. The V2 basically has a torque sensor down here, which is great if you want to put in a lot of exercise. That is something that a lot of people look forward to, but because it's paired to a Bafang motor in the back, the end result is that, yeah, you do get some exercise, but there is not the same connect as you do with a Bosch mid-drive system, because it is not a mid-drive system. Why the Aventure V1 is better for people who don't want to get a lot of exercise is that it's a lot less strain on your cardiovascular system because it uses basically a speed and cadence sensor. The faster you pedal, the faster the motor will run for you based on a few different assist levels. So there's 5 different assist levels, as you can see here on this nice little screen. And by doing that, you will not run out of breath or power if you don't want to. With the torque sensor of the V2, you have no choice but to exercise. So why I bring this up is that my wife is very hesitant about going on rides with me. I got her a bunch of different electric bikes, and they all require a lot of forced exercise. This one, it feels like it can minimize the amount of exercise you want and still keep up really well because it is still a speed cadence sensor. Unfortunately, they do not sell these anymore brand new. They moved directly on to the V2. However, that's not the end of it all. There is a little throttle here. Now, that's what makes this at a minimum a class 2, is because you have the option of the throttle. So this throttle, you don't even have to pedal at all. You can start the motor and get going up to a maximum set speed of 20 miles per hour. Now, you can configure this to be a complete class 3 just using the control panel up there, switching it up so you can go to the maximum 28 miles per hour, which makes it a full class 3, which is I feel like more than enough for just riding around just anywhere. With the fat tires, you don't really have to worry about potholes as much, which is great. They came with fenders. I personally don't like the look of the fenders. I like the look of this better. So as you can see, it is not on here right now. And it's just a really great looking ride. These are third-party pedals. I didn't like the pedals they came with. They're pretty standard pedals, but I just replaced them with something a little bit better, a little bit grippier, and just a little bit smoother performance. Comes with a 3-amp charger. Charger's down here. Unfortunately, these plugs here are proprietary to Aventon, so you will not be able to use a third party without getting a proper head on that. And suspension's nice. It's one of those pogo type of suspensions. It's not a really high end, but for the price, it's just nice to have, and it does make the ride a lot more smoother over bumps that you inevitably hit up in the road. The lights are actually okay too. I like adding supplementary lights. These are just okay. And then you also have a single rear light here. So something new with the Aventon 2 is I believe they have them on 2 sides now. So on the Aventon 1, you only have one side right here. Aventon 2, you have it on both sides. And I do believe that they can also be used for signaling as well. It's got the Shimano Acera, which is basically entry level. It's perfectly fine for this ride. It'll last you several hundred miles. With regular maintenance, it should last thousands. And then by that time, you can probably decide whether or not you want to upgrade them or not. The brakes are also perfectly acceptable for these. I believe they're just 2 pistons, but they do stop the bike perfectly fine. And I know this because I took this and then I pulled a 100-some-odd pound load in the back on a long trip from the San Francisco Bay Area headed down towards LA. And I made it down to about Morro Bay, basically past I think that's past Pismo Beach. And I rode with a trailer, a support trailer that had a bunch of batteries, camping gear, camping down along the way. And tent, everything, extra batteries, charger, and support for my other buddy. And it performed just fine. The brakes are fine. The only thing was that it did not have, these hub motors do not have more torque than a really powerful like central mid drive, because the torque is all on the wheel itself, as opposed to on a mid drive you can adjust the torque based off the chain, but then it also puts in less strain on the whole drivetrain system. So you know, there are some trade-offs with that. But yeah, I think this was a great bike. It has constantly won a bunch of awards in the previous years. Now I'm not sure where it stands completely, but that still makes it still a really great bike. 500 watt hours, I believe, on here, 500 something. And I believe that gives it a range of at least, I want to say 60 miles. Yeah, it really depends on how much effort you put into it, right? But the range is there. Even though these are fat tires, they're actually fairly low rolling resistance. They just make a little bit of sound so everyone can hear you coming. And those are some of my thoughts on the Aventon Aventure 1.